Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our preview for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Here we are again, happy as can be, all good friends and jolly good company. It's time for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Also, there's F2 and F1 Academy this weekend. We're going to get into all that as well. We're covering all the news headlines and the rumours, of course. We'll touch on that very shortly. We'll be paying a trip to Upgrade Corner. We'll be having a look through the practice sessions from this morning. And then I shall be making my two predictions for the race this weekend. And as you all know, my predictions always come true. I've never been wrong in the history of predictions. So, shall we get started with the news? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't want to talk about the news this week because it's just rubbish. It's a bad time for Formula One headlines. You know, I remember it used to be like, oh, this driver might go here, and oh, this team is looking at an upgrade. And it used to be about, you know what, this might come to a shock to some of you, but Formula One used to be about racing and cars and drivers. Not anymore, because basically this week we've had a competition between teams, team principals, FIA members. They're all just competing to see who's the worst. So shall we get into it? With Alpine, we're starting with Alpine because after the Bahrain Grand Prix, technical director Matt Harmon and head of aerodynamics Dirk de Beer resigned from their roles at Alpine Formula One. I think they have since been replaced. I forgot to get the names of the new guys there, but yeah. Alpine had a bad weekend last time out in Bahrain. Car looked bloody awful. It was probably the worst car on the track. They were very lucky not to finish 19th and 20th. It was due to Sargent and Bottas having incidents outside their control, which meant that Alpine didn't finish dead last. But yeah, bad time for Alpine. And you know, the thing is with Alpine is every time someone's left a position, they've always got better. That's sarcasm for those of you who don't understand sarcasm. But yeah, it's not good for Alpine. We'll get on to Upgrade Corner in a little bit, but it doesn't look like he's going to get any better. But as I said, it appeared that the some of the teams this week have been playing who can be the worst top trumps, because now it's time to talk about Red Bull. Oh my god. Right, there's so much to talk about. So much has happened in the week. Okay, I don't even know how I'm going to do this. I guess I'll just read all of the Red Bull stuff and then talk about it at the end. But here we go. Right, let's start with Red Bull CEO Oliver Midslav. Apparently, he had already decided that Christian Horner was going to leave his job on February 2nd, and an official press release had been prepared. However, Horner did not accept the dismissal and called in his lawyers who intervened, at Red Bull, which led to the investigation. I think the lawyers got involved in the investigation, which eventually would clear Horner. No more real news on that at this point. It appears that the Red Bull ownership is split 51% and 49%. 51% is owned by Thailand, which is where the Red Bull drink originally came from, and then the 49% is owned by the Austrian family of Dietrich Mateschitz and all them from there. And it seems like the Thai side are on the side of Christian Horner, and the Austrian side maybe not so much. There's a bit of a power struggle going on there. But yeah, that's a mess. Oh, it's time to talk about the patron saint of happy marriages. It's Jos Verstappen. So he's come in and had a chat about Christian Horner as well. He said there's tensions here whilst he remains in his position. The team is in danger of being torn apart. It can't go on the way it is. It will explode. He's playing the victim when he's the one causing all the problems. He then went on to say that he made those comments after having a falling out with Christian Horner. He added that Max had seen the comments but did not say anything to him about it. Then the rumour mill started with Max Verstappen, where the rumour mill came out saying that Max Verstappen is the hottest candidate for Mercedes alongside George Russell for next year. Helmut Marko is also concerned that the turbulence in the team could drive away not only Verstappen, but Adrian Newey and Ford. Christian Horner, though, apparently believes that things can be done without those key figures to keep Red Bull afloat. Let's carry on. We're back to Jos. Jos will not attend the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix following comments he made about Christian Horner. This was a kind of misleading comment because people said that it was because of the comments he made of Horner, but he was never going anywhere because he's rallying this weekend, so that was a bit of rubbish there. The news that came out today is that the Red Bull employee that made the allegations against Christian Horner has now been suspended by the team. The Times understands the reason for her suspension on full pay relates to the findings of the investigation which cleared Horner. Red Bull declined to comment on the internal matter. And that right there is what I think is the biggest issue with all of this, is the awful, awful way that Red Bull have handled this since day one. There has been no transparency whatsoever. From the day the investigation was announced, they have said nothing. They've said the investigation happened, they said it was cleared, and now they said this woman has been suspended. And it's just an awful way to handle it because it has led to the rumours. It has led to all of this. And now you're just like, I don't know how this is going to end, but every day it just gets worse. And no matter like whose side you're on, not that you should have buddy sides and something like this, but there is real people at the heart of this situation. And either Christian Horner has done nothing and he's being tormented with all these questions, or Christian Horner has done something, this woman has spoken out, has been shut down, and is now being tormented by the world and has been suspended from her job. So either way, it's awful, and I hate it, and I just hope that this would end. And now it's become this whole thing about this poor woman who might have had something done to her has become a massive power play by Jos Verstappen. It's like, how has he got involved here? And now, this whole story about has Christian Horner been, I don't even know the words, has Christian Horner done anything with this woman? That is the core essence of this story. Has now turned to, will Max Verstappen go to Mercedes? It's like, what has happened to this sport? What has happened here? What has happened to this story? It's ridiculous the way that this is going on, and I hate it so much. It's driving me up the wall. And it's just at this point, it's like, Christian, just leave. Just go. Just go away. You've done very well. This is going to stick forever. He did the team principals press conference today. I haven't actually seen it, but I saw a few clips and I saw some quotes on Twitter and stuff. And he's just like, yeah, I hope we can draw a line under it now. It's like, I don't think we can draw a line under this, ever. You said let's draw a line under this time last week, and since then, it's just got worse. It's just, I don't know how this ends, because apparently she had until today to appeal the investigation, so who knows if she's going to do that or not. But it's just like, this is not going away. And now, this whole thing is being used as a power play between maybe the Austrians and the Thai side of Red Bull. Jos Verstappen is involved. No one really knows why. And now it's become a story of will Max go to Mercedes, which he probably won't. It's a huge mess. And the only ones to blame for it getting this overblown are Red Bull. They keep on saying, we're not going to comment, we're not going to comment, we're not going to comment. Why not? Why aren't you going to comment? It's not a legal thing. It's not illegal for you to comment. You can say before, the internal investigation's going on. I can't comment whilst the investigation's going on. The investigation's over. Say something. Like, the less you say, the more people speculate. So, the only real reason I can see for not saying anything is that the truth is bad. It's just a mess. And I hate it. because it's just every time I go on social media, I wonder what's going on in the world of Formula One. The worst thing ever. Fantastic. That's just great. And you turn on Sky today. I just want to watch a practice session. What's going on? This again. Let's just sort this out. And just at the exact same time, we've got the proper premiere of F1 Academy. I know it had the season last year, but realistically, that was a mess as well. So this is really the first proper season of F1 Academy. And we've got all these fantastic women who are racing in Saudi Arabia for some reason. And, we've got the Sky put out like a full women's team for presenting it. There's the female lead commentator as well. We're properly celebrating women in motorsport. But in between these sessions is this story again. So it's like, yes, isn't it fantastic? Women in motorsport. Anyway, Christian Horner might have done something to this woman, and we'll never find out, and now she's been suspended. It's like, wow, this is great. This is a great look for everyone involved. It's just, what are we doing? And then, you have the drivers who are there, and they're like, what do you think about this? Because that's the only question they've been asked for 2 weeks. What do you think about this? And then there's somebody who's like, it doesn't affect me. It's like, well, that's all right then, I guess. I guess if it doesn't affect you, that's fine. I guess we can move on. I want this story to be over, but I don't see an end to it, because there is no end here. Because we don't even have a beginning. We don't have anything. We just have rampant rumours. I just punched my laptop there. That was a bad idea. I don't even know what to say at this point. Because I've got to address the next part of the rumours is Max Verstappen going to Mercedes? The answer is no, he's not. Why would he go to Mercedes? Oh my god. I can't stand Jos Verstappen. I might have a video out next week on Jos Verstappen, but I've started writing it. And it turns out there's a lot that I want to say. So hopefully next Friday is the Jos Verstappen video. But it's going to take a lot of work, and if not, it'll be like in a few weeks' time. We'll wait and see. Anyway, let's address, is Max Verstappen going to Mercedes? Also, by the way, apparently Ford are pulling out of Red Bull, but also this week Ford announced that they are sponsoring one of Red Bull's F1 Academy drivers. So, on one hand, they're trying to distance themselves from Red Bull, but in reality, they're closing in that sponsorship brand. But, who knows what's true anymore. So Sky Sports asked Max Verstappen if he sees any circumstance where he would not race for Red Bull in 2025. He said things must go really crazy for that to happen, but that's not the target for everyone. Max, with this, it's very clear that he wants to stay at Red Bull, and he thinks that's the way to go. But his answers aren't, I'm staying, or I'm not going. It's an answer like that. Things must go really crazy for that to happen, but that's not the target for everyone. Instead of saying that's not the target for anyone, that's not the target for everyone. So that hints at there is someone within Red Bull who wants things to go very crazy and Max to leave. So, again, it seems like there is a real power struggle here. And even if Christian didn't do anything, hypothetically, if Christian didn't do anything, and he is, not guilty of anything, but if he is creating this atmosphere of chaos, he still needs to go. It's madness. Anyway, he went on to say, of course, that's always been the intention of signing the 8-year contract. That's why we signed for so long to be here. And of course, it's about performance of the car. And of course, from 2026, anyway, that's a question mark with the new regulations. But I knew that when I signed my contract. But I also know what they've done for me in my career. So, of course, the intention is absolutely to stay with the team because I really enjoy it. I'm also very happy with the team. And in the meantime, there's no reason to leave. So, Max Verstappen will be staying and will probably stay out his entire contract. And if you are a Max Verstappen fan, like I am, there's no need to worry about having to buy Mercedes merch. But there is a reason to worry about whatever the hell is going on at Red Bull, because it is a mess. Speaking of a mess, let's talk about Mohammed Ben Sulayem. Remember when we used to talk about racing on this YouTube channel? Remember when we used to do previews and I'd go, oh, this lap time looked quite good. What about this upgrade? I've been talking for 15 minutes. Haven't mentioned racing yet. Yes, potential sexual assault. And now Mohammed Ben Sulayem is under investigation for an alleged attempt to interfere over an F1 race. You may remember this time last year at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Fernando Alonso qualified P2. He was a little bit over the grid box. He got a penalty. When he served the penalty, the rear jack was touching the car. He finished the race in third and should have been on the podium, but then received another penalty because the first penalty was not served correctly because the rear jack was touching the car. And then from there, George Russell went on the podium, got the trophy. Then after the race, Alonso's penalty went away, and Alonso got the podium place back. Well, it turns out that Ben Sulayem was the one who kind of went, get rid of Alonso's penalty, and he's now been investigated for interfering with that race. I agree that Alonso should not have got the penalty for interfering with the serving of the penalty. I thought that was ridiculous at the time, and I thought the right thing happened, but that should come from the stewards, not the FIA president. But that's not the only thing he's done, because allegedly he told officials not to certify the Las Vegas circuit for its race last year. This claim is from the same whistleblower who accused Ben Sulayem of allegedly telling the officials to overturn the penalty for Alonso. The whistleblower says they were told on behest of the FIA president to find a way not to pass the circuit for racing. The claim is in a report by the FIA's compliance officers to its ethics committee. The report quotes the whistleblower saying that they were contacted by their managers who, on the behest of the FIA president, instructed him to find some concerns to prevent the FIA from certifying the circuit before the weekend of the race. The report continued by saying, asked to be more specific, the whistleblower said the issues on the circuit were meant to be artificially identified regardless of their actual existence, with the ultimate goal of withholding its license. So there's a few interesting things here. So I don't understand why Mohammed Ben Sulayem didn't want that race to go ahead. But what we know with the power of hindsight is that that track was not ready to hold that race, with the whole drain cover thing that happened to Sainz's Ferrari, and then the hours upon hours upon hours it took to then get the track prepared to be in the right place. Eventually it was ready. But when they gave that license out a week before the race weekend, it was not ready. So Ben Sulayem here made the right call to say don't do it. But he didn't actually know that it wasn't ready. So it says here, artificially identify regardless of actual existence. So he wanted to find fake reasons to not give the license. I don't understand why he would want to do that. But it also goes on to show that, they didn't really look at it anyway, and they ignored him there. So, on both counts here, what he's asked to happen is actually the right thing to happen. Alonso shouldn't have had that penalty. The Las Vegas circuit should not have been given a license. But both are bad. It's interesting. Anyway, the FIA released a statement. They said FIA confirms the compliance officer has received a report detailing potential allegations involving certain members of its governing body. The compliance department is assessing these concerns, as is common practice in these matters, to ensure that due process is meticulously followed. So there you go. Very, very gripping and exciting stuff in the world of Formula One. Can we stop talking about all this stuff now? At least for a week. We'll come back next week and we'll probably have to talk about all new things about the Red Bull case and Mohammed Ben Sulayem and all that. Let's talk about something fun. And this is fun. Actually, I think it's fun anyway. Saudi Arabia has announced it's going to have a new racing circuit in Qiddiya It features a 20-story high opening corner and is due to host the country's first Formula One Grand Prix. Okay, that can't be right. We already have one. It's this weekend. Okay. Since the country joined the F1 calendar in 2021, it's used the high-speed Jeddah Street Circuit on the coast of Corniche. However, there have been long plans to build a purpose-built venue in Qiddiya, the new city project devised under the Saudi Vision 2030 scheme. Saudis have shown digital images of the new 200 miles per hour anti-clockwise track designed by ex-Formula 1 driver Alex Wirtz and well-known circuit designer Herman Tilke. The FIA Grade 1 circuit, where it qualifies to host F1, is notable for its elevation changes. There is a gain of 108 metres over the 21 corner lap. It is thought that Jeddah will continue to host the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which takes place this weekend up until 2027. So we're staying at this track for a good while. But this new one is very, very exciting. Firstly, what should be noted, anti-clockwise track, which I think Jeddah is as well, but most tracks are clockwise. And anti-clockwise tracks, especially if they have fast corners, which this one looks like it will do, normally are very bad for drivers because they train their neck to go clockwise. So when it goes anti-clockwise, it gives them a lot of neck pain. And it looks like this one will give them a lot of neck pain. But let's have a look at some of these pictures because they're fun. Look at this here. If you're on the YouTube here, you can see this. So we've got the Grand Canyon here. And here's the track. Looks pretty cool. Let's have a look. This is actually, of all the pictures they've released, this is the most tame. It looks like a normal racetrack. You can see the elevation, though. You can see it quite low there. For this like slalom section, it comes up to be quite high. Let's go to the next picture. Why isn't it changing? Oh, I have to go this way, do I? So here's a picture of some people in a swimming pool with a glass bottom enjoying the race, fully clothed, which is very interesting. But you see swimming pool here, and another third swimming pool, everyone wearing all their clothes, as this race takes place below between a Formula 1 car, a Formula E car, a Le Mans car, a motorbike, and the safety car. So a very exciting race going on, whilst these people, in what looks like, casual business attire, have a swim. So that's pretty interesting. This is the circuit map itself, and as you can see, it's massive. Apparently this is going to be the longest circuit on the calendar. It's longer than Spa. So a huge, huge circuit here, and you can see some of the things going on. It looks like there's like a concert square going on here. It's just like a massive city with just loads of stuff going on, so it's kind of just an assault on all the senses here. Here's a roller coaster. There's a video that came out as well when they announced this, of a little animated thing, and the roller coaster is seen going as fast as the Formula 1 car along the side of the track. If that happens, that'd be pretty cool if you're going to ride that roller coaster. We'll wait and see, but that's pretty nice. Here is the track itself again, and what looks to be like a water slide that does a double loop-de-loop, because, this is a madness. Here's the biggest madness, though. Apparently this is turn 1 on the top of a 20-story skyscraper, which is insane. It's utter madness. But, should be a lot of fun, so I'll look forward to that in 2027. In 2027, the Red Bull story might nearly be over. We'll wait and see. So there's the end of the news. End of the news for now. It's time for Upgrade Corner, everybody. Not too many upgrades coming at you this weekend. Mercedes' new rear corner. Racing Bill's new engine cover, and Aston Martin new front corner. The likes of your Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren and Williams have all brought upgrades, but only circuit-specific ones. And then Alpine, Haas and Stake F1 team Kick Sauber have brought absolutely nothing. So the three teams that you'd think they should probably bring something have brought nothing. So another bad weekend if you are an Alpine fan, unless, of course, a miracle happens. You never know. Shall we talk about practice? Practice makes perfect, so let's have a look at FP1, topped by Max Verstappen, but the man of the weekend so far is Fernando Alonso, P2 in FP1, P1 in FP2. The Aston Martin looking very good within the hands of Fernando Alonso. Perez third, then Russell, Leclerc and Sainz. Norris was 7th, Hamilton 8th, Stroll 9th, and Alex Albon sneaking into the top 10. Very much looking like, Red Bull's still the favourites. Let's not mess about here. But Alonso definitely, I think, is second behind the Red Bulls. Mercedes are a bit mixed, so let's have a look at FP2 quickly, because Lewis Hamilton had a big issue in FP2. He only finished 8th in FP2, but then had some kind of power issue which saw him out for the remainder of the session, whereas George Russell would finish second. So Mercedes looking quite good in the hands of George Russell, which is quite a strange thing to say. So I'd go Red Bull, Alonso, Mercedes, probably then Ferrari. The ones looking to be struggling at the minute are actually McLaren. So in FP1, it was Norris in 7th, Piastri 15th. Then in FP2, it was Piastri 10th, Norris in 11th. So McLaren not really on the pace as of so far. Definitely ones to look at there. Alpine seem to be doing all right, to be fair. Gasly was 9th in FP2, which was quite surprising, but once again, fuel loads, engine loads, whatever it might be. But yeah, ones to watch this weekend, definitely Red Bull and Fernando Alonso. Let's have a quick talk about F2 and F1 Academy. We'll get onto the predictions in a little second, but F2 first, let's talk about them, because Prima have remembered that they're supposed to be quick. They forgot it last week, but they're back and they've remembered that speed is important. Because Ollie Behrman has secured pole position for the feature race on Saturday. Kush Maini, who got pole position in Bahrain but then was disqualified, just 0.025 behind him. Then Jack Crawford in third, about a tenth off there. Very close across the field, though. Victor Martins was in fourth. Kimi Antonelli in the other Prema-powered car was in sixth place, just under 3/10 off of Ollie Behrman. And Paul Aron will have the sprint pole position because he finished in 10th. Overall, very close. The interesting one as well, outside the top 10, is Zay Maloney, who won both the feature and the sprint last weekend, current championship leader, only good enough for 16th, 8/10 of a second off of Ollie Behrman's pole time. So, really interesting stuff from F2 yet again. You really don't know which way it's going to go week to week, and hopefully Prema can continue that performance into the race weekend. Let's talk F1 Academy. For whatever reason, motorsport.com do not want to post the results of F1 Academy. I don't know why, but this was the first time actually watching F1 Academy. I know they had their highlights that they released last year, but I really did not like the highlights. I remember watching the first highlights they put out of their race in Spain, and it was like a 15-minute highlight video, and the first the majority of the highlight video was them looking around the pit garages and someone was showing all the fruit that they had. And I'm like, what the hell is the point of this? And then they showed the highlights and it would be 4 races put into 3 minutes. I was like, I don't enjoy watching highlights like this at all. So I didn't really watch it. They haven't even put out all the qualifying results on the website either. Why are they so slow? So anyway, the cars themselves are very slow. That's the first thing I had to say. I didn't realise how slow they would be in comparison to F2. I knew they'd be slow in F2 and I thought they'd be slower in F3, but I didn't realise how much slower they would be. In comparison between pole times, I think Ollie Behrman's pole time was about 25 seconds quicker than the pole time for F1 Academy, which was given to Dorian Pan. I've been calling it Dorian Pin. Apparently it's Pan, like pan au chocolat. Not pin, like pin au chocolat. But yes, Dorian Pan is incredible and probably should not be in F1 Academy, because for the majority of the qualifying session, she was over a second ahead of anyone else. So yeah, I expect her to win everything in a very Jamie Chadwick W Series way. Qualifying itself, I don't like the format, so I thought they would just use the F2, F3 format of qualifying top 10 or top 12 is reversed. But instead, they have qualifying, and qualifying sets your main race, but for your second race, they take everyone's second fastest times and put that in a leaderboard, which meant at the end of qualifying, the commentators just went, oh, we don't know what the second fastest times are. Look on social media later and it might be there. So that's not great. They said over the radio, the team radio, that Dorian Pan had got both of them, because of course she had, because she's a class above everyone else. But as for the rest of the field, we left qualifying not knowing what's happening for the race tomorrow. So that's not a good look. Also, yes, in general with qualifying, we had a half an hour long qualifying session for 16 cars that aren't very quick. And, it felt really slow. So I feel like a much shorter qualifying session, where a bit more of a rush to it, could have been a bit more exciting. I look forward to the race itself. I think Dorian Pan will be the Max Verstappen here and will just go away. But it feels like the rest of the grid are actually quite close to each other, and we could see some good battles there. What is also interesting about these cars is there's no DRS, and the cars themselves look relatively quite simple. The rear wing is basically just flat, as is the front wing, but the cars themselves are small and look quite light, and they slide a lot, and there's a lot of movement to the cars. So that's quite interesting. I think overtaking will be more difficult, just because of the lack of DRS and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm still excited for it, but I was quite surprised by how little power they've given the cars themselves, and how far ahead Dorian Pan is from everyone else. I might still be pronouncing her name wrong. I don't know. But yeah, should be interesting. I look forward to the racing, and I will cover all the racing on the channel here, of course. So yeah, on Saturday we'll have the videos for F1 Academy, F2 and F1. But yes, if Dorian Pan does not win the championship, something has gone massively wrong, because she seems to be massively more talented than everyone else. A special shout out though to Leah Block, her first qualifying session within single-seater open-wheel racing, and I think she was like 4th or 5th, so that was pretty impressive from her, and she will get better and better as the season go on, as will everyone else. But yeah, that was F1 Academy. Looking forward to seeing the rest of that this weekend. But just about enough time now for our predictions for the F1 for this weekend. Firstly, Alonso podium. I think he's got the pace here this weekend. I think he will do well. Probably 3rd place for him, 2nd or 3rd. We'll see how that goes. My second prediction, I spoke a lot last weekend about the top 5 teams. Red Bull, Aston, Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes. And how I don't think anyone will penetrate those top 5 teams. But I think a race track like this, a street track where things can go wrong, and, qualifying times will be more about the driver than the car who wants to push the limits the furthest. I think that's when you can get drivers and teams from outside that top 5 getting in to the top 10. So I say 2 drivers from teams outside the top 5 teams will score points this weekend. That's my second prediction there for you. That is all I have to say, though, on the preview this weekend. And I'm sorry if this one has dragged a little bit, but I'm not feeling too well, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't want to talk about. So there you go. That is the preview for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. I'll be back tomorrow for the qualifying reaction, and then Saturday for F1 Academy, F2 and F1. All that and more to come. My goodness, driver ratings as well on Sunday. So there you go. I will see you then, though. Have a good one. Until then, goodbye.